Welcome back to Blue Collar Speed and Repair, and what will probably be the last video on our 59 Apache, at least for a while. We might do some upgrade stuff later, but as far as building and getting it running and driving and drivable and comfortable, this is probably going to be it. We have one issue that I want to address, and we'll talk about that, as well as just kind of some finishing touches kind of stuff that need to be taken care of. So let's get to it. As far as finishing touches, a couple things I want to just kind of button up, finish up. The clutch pedal needs an adjustment. I feel like it's too far over and it's a little uncomfortable. That's just a personal preference thing. If you remember when we did the bed floor, we just turned the filler neck for the fuel tank out towards the back, and you have to open the tailgate in order to fill the fuel. I got a different filler neck and hose that we're going to try to install. Well, we are going to install it one way or another, but other than that, if the weather holds, it's supposed to rain for the next week or so. I want to do something with our clear coat. We've talked about several times. It's got a few runs. It's got some speckles in it, stuff like that. We need to wet sand with soapy water, and I don't really want to do it outside in the rain, and I don't really want to make a gigantic mess with water in the shop. After we wet sand, we're going to need to wash it and wash all the gunk off of it in order to polish it. Can't really do that inside the shop. So if the weather holds, we're going to try to address that. The big issue we're having is a fuel delivery issue, as in too much fuel. This does not have a return line for our fuel system. It's got a standard mechanical pump, but there's a line in and a line out to the carburetor, no return. And I did that when I put this carburetor on and took the Holley Sniper off. And the issue I'm having is when I'm driving it, it's not wanting to idle. It acts like it's flooding, and then when you go to restart it, you have to crank, 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 hold the foot on the floor like it's flooded. For instance, I drove home from work, and driving seems to be fine, other than it is chugging fuel. It's getting, not that this is built for fuel mileage, obviously, but it was getting like 6.5, something like that, and that's really bad. My big block does better than that. Driving was fine, pulled up to a stoplight, died, had to crank, 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 get it fired up, got it fired up, drove home, got to the shop door, and it died again. So I jumped out, popped the hood, and the fuel bowl, or the fuel level in the bowls, were completely full. Now I have the needle and seat adjusted, so it's halfway up the glass. We'll talk about that in a few minutes, but I believe it's the fuel pressure is overpowering the needle and seat, if that makes sense. Carburetor guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Holley carburetors like to run between 6 and 7 PSI. This isn't a Holley, it's made by FST, but it's a Holley clone. I unfortunately do not have a fuel pressure gauge here, but I borrowed a buddy's while I was at work, and it was showing about 9 PSI. My understanding is Holleys will usually do okay up to about 8. Again, not a Holley official carburetor, so I think that's where our issue is. So essentially what we're going to do is swap out a fuel pump that has a return line and run a return line to the tank. Should be an easy fix, not that big of a deal. Other than we narrowed this frame 2 inches and there's not a lot of room. So it's probably going to be a nightmare. I guess we'll start with getting this thing fired up, move it over to the lift so we can get it up in the air. We'll see what we got. As far as GM mechanical fuel pumps, they're fairly easy to replace. You got a couple lines on the bottom, 2 bolts. Notice how this one has 3 hoses. Ours does not have the return. The problem we have is, again, we narrowed this frame. So there is not a lot of room at that fuel pump. So I'm gonna put this in the air, take the hoses off. My biggest concern is whether or not it'll fit out between the engine block and the frame rail, because it's got the rod that goes inside. inside of the engine block itself. So this is probably going to be a fight, but pretty straightforward stuff. It'll just be a matter of getting it angled right to get it out and then back in and lined up with the push rod. So starting our day off fun. All right, got our 2 lines off. Hopefully we can get these bolts out without too much trouble. We're leaking fuel everywhere.
You want to punch it off?
Yeah, I probably should. The fuel line is currently dripping right now.
Where'd you put them? Never
I don't know
mind.
if I can do it from here.
Oh. I was stepping in it.
Mm.
It's all the way out the front of the truck now. Yeah, that's a good size bubble.
I think it's because we let air out of the front bags.
Mm.
Shouldn't be leaking all over the ground now. Now, can we get this out of here? I don't think it's going to fit.
Not go off the bottom?
It might.
I mean, because we still have to get the other in there, right?
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah, I guess we try that. I think it'll go out the bottom. I think there's room. All right, let's
Back up.
modify vehicles. This is what happens.
Can't see nothing. Surprised you can see something.
Okay.
You did it.
So again, same fuel pump. It just has a return. I'm gonna swap that fitting over. Probably scrape this gasket off. See about shoving this thing back in there. Got our fitting swapped out. Got our old gasket off. I got the new gasket on. I just did a very tiny bit of silicone, just enough to hold it in place. The trick is, where's our old pump? There's a push rod that runs off a lobe of the cam that runs your fuel pump, and a small block Chevy. Other manufacturers, they do it different ways. As far as small block Chevy, big block Chevy, it's done this way. So you see this rod here. I don't know how well that shows in the camera. Can you see it? Mm-hmm. So that rod is what drives the fuel pump. Problem is, it's all the way down, and we can't get the fuel pump lever under it. There is different ways of doing this. There's a blind hole in the front of the block. You can push that fuel rod up, run a longer bolt in to hold it in place. The problem is with our GM Performance serpentine belt kit, you can't really get to that bolt. I mean, you might be able to, but I don't think you can. In fact, I think it uses one of those. It uses that bolt hole. So basically, I'm gonna have to try to push this up with a pick, hold it in place, not destroy my gasket, and get the fuel pump in all at the same time. And it don't want to move. Why? Why being stubborn? Once you get it up and held up like with a pick, it's usually not too bad. It's just getting it there. Well, after it falls down 3 or 4 times.
There's just not enough room.
Yeah. Well, like I said before, with this frame rail narrowed, makes life a little more difficult.
And all of the accessorize on the front.
Mm-hmm. There we go. So I don't know if you can see that push rod being pushed up. Turn it just a little bit. I don't know if you can see that. So then we'll use this pick tool to put under it and mess up the gasket. Have the magnet stick to everything. Have it push the pick tool out of the way, and then start this whole process over again. Yay!
As long as you're having fun.
Always having fun. Okay. That went about as expected. And the pick tool's off again. Alright, I guess I'll fight with this for a few minutes. Alright, took a little finagling. Use the magnet to lift up the push rod. Slide the pick tool underneath and hold it up. Get the magnet out of the way. Fish the lever in for the fuel pump. So now it's just a matter of lining these bolts up, which also equally is easy without damaging our gasket. Get everything started in these tight spaces.
Make sure to keep the rod in place. I can try and reach over the valve cover and hold it. If that will help.
I don't think it will. Just, there's not enough room to get both hands in here very well. And be able to see and everything else. Hot. One started. And two started. All right, tighten this down. Hook up the two fuel lines. Worth noting, this is just a standard small block Chevy fuel pump. It's made by made by Precision, I believe. I don't know what actual fuel pressure this puts out, but it's the exact same one that's on my 83 square body, and that only has a 450 CFM. I believe that one's a quick fuel carburetor. So had zero issues with that one whatsoever. So I assume it should work fine in this application. So we got our two fuel lines hooked up. We have the one feed line from the tank and then out to the carburetor. As far as the return line goes, I bought a roll of 5/16. I think it's aluminized or whatever. It's off Amazon, super cheap. Came with a bunch of fitting or a bunch of heat clamps. I'm just going to run along next to the other one. I am going to clamp it, drill holes and clamp it. I don't want to just zip tie it to the other hose or the other line. They'll end up rubbing against each other. I don't want to wear a hole through. We know what fuel leaks around here does. So don't want a repeat of the 83 C10. The Boyd's welding tank has a provision for a return already, so we just need to key into or tap into that. It uses a 3/8 pipe fitting, and of course I need a 5/16 fitting for our hose. So I had to do kind of a funky conglomeration of fittings, but this should work just fine. It's a return line, not a lot of pressure. Should be okay. Other thing to note is I like to put a bulge in the end of our line just to keep the hose from slipping off. So if you've ever done flared fittings before, the first step you squeeze down, it puts that little bit of a bubble on the end. I like to do just that step. Hose goes over it, clamp on the back side of it, the hose can't come off that way. So especially for fuel lines, that kind of stuff that you don't want troubles with. So we'll run this guy, and then we'll get into 400 fittings. This stuff, like I said, is aluminized or whatever, so it's really soft and easy to work with. But that's what I was talking about. Just put a little bulge in the end. That way when we put the hose clamp over it, tighten it down, it can't slide off the end. So from here, we're going to run this down the frame rail, like I said, drill some holes. Then it's a matter of hooking up a couple hoses and or fittings. You ready?
Sure.
I don't want to drill holes in the frame. Sounds like a lot of work.
I'm just supervising.
We got our metal fuel line ran. I'm currently in the bed because why not? Decided it'd be easier to work right here from in here. Ran the metal line. Luckily, we only had to drill one hole, I think. And there was existing holes in the frame. This is a Boyd's welding tank. It is actually for a square body Chevy, but we retrofitted it into our 59 frame. It has a factory location for a return. Previously, this had a Holley Sniper set up on it, and I had a fuel pump that was internally regulated, so I never had an actual return ran on this setup ever. And I believe this does have a tube that runs down to the bottom of the tank so it doesn't like aerate the fuel. So where'd my fittings go? Did I leave those over there too?
Yep.
Okay. And again, unfortunately, I don't know if you can actually see this or not, but yeah. So that's our return vent hose, filler, obviously, and then our sending unit for our gauges over there. Kind of forgot what I was going to say. Do we want to not do the elbow? There'd be less fittings, but I feel like that going in to the side would be better, don't you?
Probably. There's no chance of it kinking.
Yeah. No reason to put stress on this Amazon hose and end up having a problem with it. So I guess the $40 in fittings is what we use. I don't know why brass fittings cost so much now, but they do. Goes along with everything else. It's really expensive.
Grade 8 bolts and brass fittings.
And fuel and water and groceries.
Breathing.
Yeah. No, if they can figure out a way to charge for air, they probably will. And of course, somebody's mowing their yard now, because why not? Every time we're filming, there's a leaf blower or lawn mower or something going on. Ouch.
We didn't have a storm. They're probably cleaning up leaves or
There
something.
might be.
Sounds like it's raining again. So.
It's always raining. It's supposed to rain all dang week. Yeah, it sure sounds like it, doesn't it?
Do we leave the windows down or are they up?
We never rolled them down. There's stuff falling off the trees. Never ends.
How do you like your little hidey hole there?
You know, it's not bad.
You planned it this way, right? Because if we did the spare tire over the fuel tank.
Yeah, it'd make it a little harder to do this. It can still be done, but I have an idea for this hidey hole, which we'll actually plan on talking about in a minute. Wow. Okay, one fuel return hose installed. since we're here, I guess we should do something with this filler neck.
You got a screwdriver.
Which I think I'm pretty much just going to turn it up and put it right in this area. I don't know how much hose flex there is in that hose. I'd like to run it towards the back if I can, but we will see.
Let me go grab them.
Sure. There it goes. Is that flexible?
A little bit.
Slightly. All right, so I think we aim for right in that area.
A marker.
Well, I need to drill it from the top, so probably a tape measure. I don't want to do too sharp of an angle, so probably aim for, we'll call it 10 inches. All right. Let me out. I got a different filler neck off of Amazon. I like this one because it's flat. This one I believe was from Amazon also years ago. I just didn't want it sticking up so far. Might look a little goofy versus completely flat. So which board are we going for? This one? 10 inches?
Yep. That's what you said, at least.
And I put 10 inches at center of our hole. And I believe these are 5.5 inch boards. So 2 3/4. Right there. And this is 2 inches. So let me go grab a 2-inch hole saw. Drill a hole, hook it all up. Well, fill it in. Okay. All right, watch yourself. This cap came with a rubber gasket also, and it don't fit. It's supposed to be 2 inches. Wonder if it's this screw back here. It's close. It's very close. Make sure it's straight. That does not seem to be working. I don't know if a carbide style bit will work for wood, but I guess we're gonna find out. Don't need much.
Goodness gracious. Alright. Nothing can ever be easy. But I feel like that looks a whole lot better than that thing sticking out. Now you gotta get that hose between those two.
Yeah. I guess we should measure how long we need, right? Ugh. Lost it. It's just a filler. There's no pressure, so it's not that big of a deal. But we go something like 8-ish inches, should be plenty. Alright, full return done, and filler neck. That should be a whole heck of a lot easier than opening the tailgate. It's got that chain to keep it. Like I said, this one's technically for a boat, but it should do really well for what we need. Other than I wish that sprung loaded up or stuck up somehow. But that's all right. Okay. Take a look at these pedals. Sure. All right. Well, good morning. It's the next day because that's the way it works around here. We're ready to jump into the pedals. And I forgot last night to mention, we talked about the kind of hole I was sitting in, and I kind of have a plan for it, and then I realized I didn't mention anything. So we did our bed floor up high, right? We don't have any plans of hauling anything or whatever. I have other pickups if I need to pick up materials or supplies or parts or whatever. But I was thinking about it after we did this bed floor, we're calling it. Let's say boss and I want to take this out of town for a week. We have nowhere to put a bag or, a duffel bag or a lawn chair or anything, although lawn chair wouldn't fit for what I have in mind. But so I'm thinking about this area that's open under here, either finding a box that fits, like a toolbox, like a truck toolbox, or building something. Open the tailgate, open a door, have access to, we can throw a couple backpacks, a couple duffel bags, maybe a couple tools, whatever. That's later down the road. I just know I mentioned, kind of had an idea, and wanted to make sure and point it out. Otherwise, you guys would be asking me about it, because I am forgetful. Pedals, let's move on to that. Throttle pedal, you'll notice, is quite a bit higher than when we originally installed it. The problem is, it was originally down low, kind of even with the clutch and brake pedal. And the problem was driving long distances. You can see my knee is 90 degrees. And that gets uncomfortable after a while. So I moved it up, from straight and narrow, got a little better. That's actually, although the angle's a little funky, it's a lot more comfortable. It is a little bit of a weird transition to the brake pedal because the brake pedal's lower, but it's really not bad once you get used to it. So throttle pedal, I'm leaving alone. I know there was a couple comments on a couple different videos. Honestly, I think it was the same person on 2 different videos. They ran this same pedal from Amazon and had problems with it. The 2 levers, the throttle pedal, the lever that the throttle pedal is attached to, and then the other lever that would attach to the cable, or does attach to the cable, are just splined onto a rod in the middle. Where was I going with this? My brain stopped. The levers, it's one of those days. Anyway, the levers, I believe, are just pot aluminum, and they move independently of each other. They're not a real tight fit. And this guy was saying, and I forgot your name, I'm sorry, it's been a little while, or I would shout you out, but they strip out basically, and then you lose throttle completely. So you can't see it, but through the lever's on the end, there's the rod that comes through the middle, and then there's a screw. I drill a hole all the way through all the way through all of it and shove the roll pin through it. So there's no more movement there. This is all nice and solid. shouldn't have a problem with it stripping out. So throttle pedal's fine, brake pedal's fine. Clutch pedal, you'll notice we did this same kind of sweep that we did with the brake pedal, we did on the clutch pedal as well. Well, problem with that is now they're too far apart and they're a little funky, and it's kind of uncomfortable to rest your foot over here. You end up hitting the clutch pedal, or hitting it going down, or resting your ankle against it. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is figuring out how to get this pedal out and get rid of this last little jog at the end, which will put it back over probably too close to the brake pedal. Maybe we'll do a little less than that, leave a little bit of a bend. Essentially, I just want to move this pedal over a little bit. This is purely preference. It's operating fine, it's working fine. There's no issues with it whatsoever, other than a little bit of discomfort. So now that I've been driving it a little bit, you find these little things. So let's see if I can get this pedal out without disconnecting all the clutch lines or the hoses and whatnot. I really don't want to bleed it again, and I don't want brake fluid all over the floor. Ready?
Sure.
Let's get to it. I know I just yapped a bunch, but
I mean, I'm just watching you, so.
that's pretty typical.
You're welcome.
So I've been looking at this for a few minutes. I don't think there's I'm sure there's a way to get the pedal out, but it's not going to be easy. Obviously there's the rod that comes from what would be the clutch master cylinder. That's easy enough. The pivot point has a big spring on it, and it would be a pain to get off. It would be an absolute nightmare to get back on. Also, the big bolt, there's a big bolt that goes through the brake pedal and through the clutch bracket, and then we have another piece of angle that attaches to the bottom of the dashboard. Problem is, I can't get to the nut on the other side of this very well without pulling the cluster out, and I don't want to do all that. So I think what I'm going to do, the whole goal is to straighten this bend, right? Well, when we straighten this bend and turn this down, it's going to be quite a bit longer. So I think I'm just going to cut it off at the top of this pedal. We'll straighten this, we'll cut the stuff off the back of the pedal, the rest of the pedal bracket, and then just figure out where we want it and weld it back together. Right?
Sounds so easy.
It sounds easy. It won't be, but it sounds easy. Again, this is all personal preference, and it was fine in the square body. Of course, this isn't a square body, and we had to modify pedals and all that stuff anyway, because custom stuff. So let me get in here and see if I can cut this in a way that I don't start a fire. Is that gonna go all the way through? There's no good way to do this. Like that. You can throw sparks straight at me.
You want some safety glasses?
Well, that would make sense.
Okay, hold on.
Okay. Now, how do we bend that straight? Essentially, that's all we want to do.
Well, essentially, you can cut a little bit more off there. Cut.
Well, really, if I cut that off straight, if you get in here, I could just weld that right to the end of it, right?
Yeah.
That would move it over that far and up a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe we're thinking too hard about this, or I am, like I usually do. If I just cut that off straight, this is already cut straight. We can clean this up a little bit, just weld it back together.
Yeah.
Yeah? Quit overthinking things.
Ear protection back on?
I'm gonna clean these up a little bit, bevel the edges. We get a good deep penetration on our weld. That'll work just fine. Could have left it a hair longer, but that's all right too. A little difficult to get in there. Uh oh, fire, fire! What's new? We're good. What's new? Mm-hmm. We don't light everything on fire.
At least it wasn't you this time.
Just most things. All right, what happened?
Fire again. On the blanket.
Alright.
Figured I'd specify.
And it's just a clutch pedal. That should work fine. We'll let that cool for a few minutes. Smack it with some paint. We should be good. They're a little close together. I mean, if we wanted to get really particular, we could have made them perfectly even and all that. Yeah, it's not that big of a deal. It's just a hot rod, right? So let that cool off a bit. Once it's painted, you'll never really notice it unless you're actually looking for it. And that should be it for fabrication stuff.
Yeah, until you build a box or something.
Well, I mean, as far as the build
Functionality.
All right, let me get that blanket out of here before it goes up in flames. Got our clutch pedal put back together. It is a little bit higher than I anticipated, but it should work fine. Should keep it up there out of the way. So I think, like I said, all mechanical fabrication building stuff is done. We did run this for a minute, just to make sure there's no leaks, that kind of stuff. I think before we move on to clear coat, and hopefully the weather's going to hold out for us, we're going to take this thing for a quick rip, see if, make sure we don't have any fuel issues that I was experiencing before. We got to go to O'Reilly's anyway, right? Yep. All right, let's go for a ride. Clutch pedal's a lot better. Actually have room. Better so far. Well, that's a lot better. It was trying to die before. I was a little high now that's warmed up though.
Nothing a screwdriver can't fix.
That's right.
Pretty sure you just gave all of the whiplash.
It's all right. Not near as hot in here either. great. Temp seems good. Charging. Got oil pressure. Before, this is what I was talking about. It would be loading up and flooding. And I'd have to keep playing with the throttle to keep it running. So I think our return line fixed that. We just got back from a trip to O'Reilly's, picked up some floor mats for this thing. Seemed to run pretty good, but it felt like I had a slight miss to it. I wonder why. That don't go there. We moved that to do the fuel pump, forgot to hook it back up. Still ran pretty good on 7. Road test went good. Mechanically, it seems fantastic. There's no more dying at stops, and it's wanting to idle now. Of course, you know, having all 8 cylinders working helps a little bit too. Even with the one wire unplugged, it actually ran better than it did before. So I think mechanically it's dialed in, right? We drove it, no issues. It still does have a little bit of vibration from the drive shaft. I might have to take it back to the driveline shop and have them rebalance it one more time just to be sure. Other than that, I guess I can double check angles, but I'm pretty sure they're good. So mechanically, I think it's good. Now it's a matter of sweating my butt off out here before the storm comes. I want to do something about our clear coat. I know we've talked about it a couple times. I don't know how well this shows up on camera, but there's some runs across here, some across here, there's some at the front of the fender. I think they're on the other side of the bed. There's a couple spots. As far as runs, I think that's all the spots. Other than that, there's a lot of little speckles and stuff, because again, we just painted this, or clear coated it in the shop. I'm not going for showroom shine. Obviously, it's patina. I don't even know if it'll change on camera, if you guys will see an actual difference or not. I just want to get the runs out of it and get the speckles out of it so we have a nice smooth surface. That's really the only goal that I have. I'm starting with 600 grit, which is probably too coarse. I'm not a detailer. I don't do this kind of stuff. So again, not a tutorial, not a how-to, just what I'm doing. I'm also going to start dry, not wet sanding. I want to be able to see what I'm doing as far as the runs go. I'm going to use a 600 grit on a small block, just sand through the runs hopefully, and then we'll start wet sanding with a DA with like 1000 grit. I think I have 2000 and 3000, and we'll polish from there. So here we go. How much should we spend on clear coat and how much labor? Let's start sanding on it. Well, now you can see it already. So I just want to get rid of that. And I want to be careful of this edge. I don't want to put a lot of pressure on that. I don't want to go, it'll go through that clear coat on that edge really fast. I'm not doing a lot of pressure here either. I do have a soft block too. I don't know if that would be better in this situation. Like I said, I'm just trying to get through the runs. That's it. I don't want to go any farther than I have to go. Now it's really starting to show up. You can see, I know it's hard to see on camera, but like look down here. All those spots are runs. So I guess we're just gonna go to town and start sanding. Maybe we should pull it inside for this part.
Probably.
I'm sweating already.
You want to do that?
Probably should. So I changed up my tactics a little bit, mostly because I'm impatient. I switched to the DA with 1500 grit. That's taking it off faster, of course, and I'm moving around very quickly. I want to be extra careful and not get through the clear coat. As far as the rusty areas that's really textured, I'm just doing a quick pass over them just to take those high spots off. They're kind of like sharp spots, kind of like we talked about the door has. Again, I don't know if this is the right way to do it, but this is the way I'm doing it. I'm sure it's wrong. People that do this, you know, more for a living or whatever would be able to tell you. My main goal is just get the runs and the speckles. The runs out as best I can, and the speckles out as best I can, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna go over the whole truck, I think, with 1500, and then we'll switch to wet and we'll do 2000 and 3000. That should make it good and smooth, hopefully, for polishing. Again, not a tutorial. I'm guessing, like usual. We got everything done that I kind of wanted to get done. You can still kind of see remnants of runs in places, but I don't want to get too carried away. I don't want to blow through the clear coat. Again, I'm no professional. I don't know what I'm doing really. We opted to stay above this body line. Except for where there was runs, of course. But all the little like particles, all the little speckles were in the top areas. Rather than spending a bunch of time wet sanding, which I don't think is necessary, the lower half, we opted not to. And again, you can see texture across here still. These heavily rusted areas are very textured. I'm sure you can see the texture in the hood here. If I try to sand that down smooth, we're going to be through the clear coat in no time. So I'm not going to worry about stuff like that. Again, speckles, runs, that's all I'm really worried about at the moment. Well, ever, really. So did across the top of the doors, got rid of the speckles, that kind of stuff. Across the top of the bed, there were a few runs along here. We got those out. So from here, that was all 1500 grit sandpaper. We're going to switch to wet, which this probably should have been done wet to start with, but I wanted to be able to see what I was doing easily. Spray bottle, a little bit of dish soap and mix with water. And we're just going to go over pretty much the same areas we just did and try to, essentially we're trying to knock down the 1500 grit sand marks with the 2000, and then we'll go back over again with 3000. Then we'll take this thing outside, wash it really good, and then we'll get to polishing to take those sand marks out. And I'm standing right in the air, I'm sorry. You can see here, I stayed away from the line. I didn't want to blow through it. So I didn't get all the runs out. I got the majority out, but I think that'll be okay. I'm not overly concerned. Soapy water, make a giant mess in the shop.
Floors needed to be cleaned anyways.
That's right. The goal here is to keep it wet. I don't know how well this shows up, but see how the whole thing's got a haze to it? That's what we want. That's how we know we're doing something. So I'm gonna take this one section at a time and keep going. So much fun.
You look so excited.
Went over this whole thing with 2000 grit, made an absolute mess out of it. The next step was gonna be 3000 grit to get it down finer. But I was reading our bottle, McGuire's Professional Pro Speed Compound. Where'd it go? Quick removal of 1200 grit and finer sanding marks for easier polishing. So I don't know why we couldn't just jump straight to this. Save us a step. Probably have to polish a little bit longer, I guess. I don't know. I'm not a body shop or detailer or deal with nice paint ever, so.
You're a professional, it says so.
Yeah, I'm a professional. So I think we're just gonna jump straight to this. Again, we're not going for showroom shine. I just wanna bring the shine back out now that we got rid of our specs and our runs. So we're gonna push this thing or drive it out real quick and wash it really good, get all the soap off. Clean it up real nice so there's not soap while we're trying to do our polish. Make sense?
Yeah.
Ish? Sorta?
Sure.
Kinda? Then we can just dump some of this on there, rub it on, wash it off, and we're good done, right?
Yeah.
I wish. Alright, we're gonna wash this, we'll be back in a few. Through the power of television, it's washed. Everything's got a haze to it. I don't know how well this shows up on camera, I realize that, but hopefully you can kind of see. I bet you can probably see on the door best. It's really dull looking, which is obviously the sanding marks. You can tell a lot here where we really focused on those runs.
It's on the cab right there.
Yeah, on the cab, near the top of the roof. But most importantly, all those little speckles are gone. That's the big thing. All the runs are gone. Now, obviously, you can kind of see them at the edge. I kind of stayed away from those, the body line, because I didn't want to burn through it, like we talked about. So next step is polishing, which is going to be the rest of the day, I'm sure. We are going to start with that compound that we talked about, with a more aggressive pad. This should hopefully get rid of our haziness. That's the plan. And then we'll go over it with an actual finishing compound and a soft pad. And with any luck, and my very unprofessional work ethic here, it'll look like it did before, just without the runs and the speckles in it. Yeah? Excuse me, sorry. I'm allergic to work.
think you chose the wrong profession.
Isn't that the truth? All right, let me start with this door because I think that's where you guys can probably see the best.
You have a cord?
And these are inexpensive pads. This is McGuire's, pretty decent polish stuff. I have noticed with these pads, I can't turn this thing all the way up or they start coming apart. Let's start with this area. And I find more is better. Now, if you look back from the front, obviously in the line here, you can still see it, but that haziness is already starting to go away. This is probably going to take several passes and a lot more product and a lot of time. So I'm going to go panel by panel and nothing else to say besides polishing. If you are any good at this, feel free to critique my techniques below in the comments. Let me know what I'm doing wrong. I have no problem with that. Again, I'm not a professional at this stuff, not something I do all the time. And again, not a tutorial, just what I'm doing. If you go, you know, hey, it works better if you do such and such, I 100% understand. That will not hurt my feelings.
Or a better product, or a better pad,
better product, better pad. I mean, a DA is a DA, but whatever. Yeah.
Suggestions.
If you have suggestions, I am all ears. Well, it's, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours later. I saved you the trouble of watching both rounds of polishing. It went pretty good. Minor issue I had, well, not really an issue, but the compound pad that I was using, not only is it pretty well wore out. Remember I said you can't run them too fast or they'll start coming apart? It's coming apart. So we switched to a different one. Of course, I don't have another kind of aggressive one. I just had finer ones. So there's still some haziness here and there. I'll need to polish it again, but I accomplished what I set out to accomplish. The runs have been sanded down. Those little speckles and stuff have mostly gone away. Again, not perfect by any means. It's still very shiny. Still looks really, really good. And I think that is it for this project. This is the last bit that I want to do. I'm sure there's other stuff I would like to do later on. Adding that box in the back corner of the bed like I talked about. I do have the vintage air kit from the square body that most of these parts came from that I might try to retrofit in just for the heck of it. How much cooler would it be with heat and AC? So, recap, I guess, to kind of finish us off here. We started with what was essentially a truck out of a field. I'll try to post a picture up somewhere of what this thing looked like. We started with that and a wrecked 74 square body C10 that I was building before I started the channel.
So a lot of those parts have been resurrected into this one. If you haven't been following along completely from the beginning, there is a playlist for this thing if you want to check it out. Started with cutting the front frame rails off of both pickups, transferring the C10 frame rails to this one, and then it was too wide. We narrowed it 4 inches. It got the 400-ish horsepower small block Chevy Tremec TKX 5-speed behind it, out of that pickup, of course, and the 12-bolt rear end. It's got an Eaton Posi and 373 gears in it, and then CPP front and rear brakes, their big brake kit, as well as the CPP tubular control arms. From there, we did airbags. What started as a very cheap airbag kit got a little more expensive when I found out that the actual airbags matter. So we ended up swapping out for different airbags, which were more expensive, but it all works very well. With that, we did like literally the cheapest 4-link you could possibly get on Amazon. I think it was, you remember, $229, something like that. It wasn't very expensive, but what did we do beyond that? Remember?
We pulled the Boyd's welding fuel tank out of that 74.
Retrofitted the fuel tank in, which you guys saw. Built the step notch twice. Well, the step notch once. The airbag mounts we redid. Retrofitted the C10 radiator in. Damaged it. The old one's sitting over there. Put a new one in. Big change was the doors. The old doors were completely rotten. So new doors from Autometal Direct and patina matched. Steel wheels from Speedway. Built the bed floor. Well, tonneau cover bed floor. And then I think the last video we did all the interior stuff. At least all the carpet and headliner, door panels, that kind of stuff. Gauges from Intellitronics, Summit brand steering column, TMI seats that were in the old C10, and I'm sure there's about 100 other different things that I'm forgetting. But what am I forgetting?
Kick panels, steps, cap corners, replaced all of
Yeah, when we did the doors, we did the steps and cap corners and all that stuff right around the same time. Different videos, but yeah. You guys have really enjoyed this project. I've enjoyed it. It's been a blast. The feedback has been awesome. There are a few things that I want to work on still, probably off camera, not that big of a deal. Such as window tint, which will be third party, obviously. I'm not going to tackle that at all. The flat glass will probably be fine. I'm not touching that windshield. That'd be a mess if I tried to do it. Several people, when we did the last video on the interior, several people mentioned doing angle iron around basically a sill plate around our carpet. Very good idea. I'll probably do something like that off camera. Just make up some quick angle iron pieces. And then other than that was just little stuff. We adjusted the clutch pedal. That is a different steering column than we started with. I played with the shifter a little bit. Brake bracket and clutch and all that stuff was out of the 74 square body. It's been a project. It's been fun. It's been a lot of retrofitting. It's been a lot of custom kind of stuff. Well, we built our own trans tunnel. We forgot to mention we did new floors as well. And that's actually the second list that we made. And it's all pretty much marked off. Like I said, a couple small things that I'll just do off camera. Not a big deal. So, all that being said, I appreciate you guys so very, very much. The feedback on this thing has been fantastic. Everybody's been enjoying it. We've been enjoying it. It's been a fun project. And I'm glad we brought this thing back. It's resurrected. It's not quite the way I planned on making it or planned on it going, but all in all, I think it turned out fantastic. So drop a comment below. Tell me what you think. If you've been following along, I appreciate it very much. If you haven't been, again, there is a playlist below, as well as other playlists. Her 63 Galaxy 300. There's a playlist for that. There's a playlist for my 83 Daily Driver C10 that we built up and made it kind of my perfect daily driver. A few videos on my square body dually, which hopefully will come back soon. I've got some plans for that, as well as a bunch of videos on Jesse's crappy third gen Camaros.
There's a Chevy Sport van too.
Oh yeah, completely forgot about the van, the VUC, which was very, very popular. And really, realistically, I need to bring that thing back. That thing needs some work too. We haven't been driving it because it still needs a little work because everything we have is always broken.
Not everything.
Just most things. So, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you've enjoyed this project and you've been here from the beginning, thank you. I appreciate it very much. If you haven't been here from the beginning and you're just starting to follow along, go check out the playlist, check out the other playlists, share, you know, all that YouTube stuff. You know, it helps out a lot. So,
Thanks for hanging out.
thanks for hanging out. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you next time.